welcome to Val's Kitchen. Keep calm and love cooking. And today we have the second part of our Indian cooking experience. We're going to make a vegetable rice, pulao, and a spinach soup. Okay, I know spinach soup, nobody likes spinach, but I have to tell you a story. A few years ago, I sang background in a rock band here in Germany, and I invited everybody for dinner. And we had a roadie who was like a big guy, like the Hulk, and it was all Indian food, and I made the soup, and he ate almost the whole pot by himself. He couldn't get enough. He just kept eating this spinach soup. And afterwards he said to me, "Wow, what was in that soup?" And I said, "It was spinach soup." And he said, "But I don't like spinach." So there you go. You never know if you don't try. And then we're going to make pulao, and it goes very well with this soup. I have 250 grams of fresh spinach, which I am cooking now with 500 milliliters of water. We're just going to let that cook. And in our pulao, we're going to have carrots, beans, peas, and cashews, and basmati rice, which I have washed and ready to go. And you can put any vegetables practically in you like. If you want to put cauliflower in, or any other kind of sort of vegetable that will cook well. Zucchini, they're a little bit soft, but they work. But I like this very traditional carrots, beans and peas. And I'm going to show you how I got these lovely little pieces. I like to cut them like julienne, like this, because they cook along with the rice and they don't stay hard. I'll just show you with this. I just cut it into sort of pieces like this. And then just make sort of little slices like that. It goes very easy. You don't need a lot. It just gives it a lovely colour. We're going to put a little saffron in as well. And with the beans, I just take them and go like that. Finish. And our spices for this pulao are cinnamon sticks, cloves and peppercorns. Now, you just have to warn people when they're eating. Be careful, not to bite on this. You'll see them. They just give this a really nice sort of a Christmassy flavour. And to start cooking them, we're going to use ghee. I showed you in my last video how to make ghee. And then we put the spices into that and the vegetables. And this soup, we'll make it with spinach. Then I have a little tomato passata. I took this from a bottle because in the summer when I have my own tomatoes from my garden, I make my own passata. It's just, you just boil the tomatoes and puree them and pass them through a sieve, and then you have a really nice thick tomato sauce, and I like to use that for soups. So our spinach is finished cooking. We cooked 250 grams of spinach with 500 milliliters of water. So we're going to puree this. We'll just let it cool for a little bit. And now we'll make the rice. The rice is basmati rice. I've washed it. And the first thing we'll do is we'll roast the cashews in a little ghee. I like to take them out and put them in sort of at the end of cooking because then they retain a little bit of a crunch. If you cook them, they get very soft. And but you can leave them in. You don't have to take them out. That's up to you. So while they're roasting, I will puree the spinach for the soup. Now we have the spinach pureed, and this is about 50 milliliters of this tomato passata. I like to put this in because it gives the spinach on its own has a bit of a chalkiness. Sometimes you can feel like, on the teeth. So this kind of this acidity takes care of that, and it doesn't have that anymore. Cashews are roasting nicely. They have a lovely smell coming now. And then we will saute the vegetables in these spices, and then the rice, and then cook it. I think that's enough now. So we put the spices in. Be careful because The peppercorns might jump. It starts to smell a little bit like Christmas. And then we'll put the vegetables in with the spices. And it sort of looks like this. And the whole kitchen is starting to smell like cinnamon and cloves. It's lovely. And then we'll put a little salt in now for the vegetables. Just a pinch really, about a teaspoon of salt. Turn that down a little bit and let them cook until they're started to get a little tender, the vegetables. And in the meantime, we'll finish the soup. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a bechamel sauce. Now, a lot of people are a bit scared of making bechamel sauce, but actually it's quite easy. You just have to be sure that you put hot milk in and so that it doesn't get lumpy. A tablespoon of butter. We'll let that melt. And into this, the only spices we're using here are grated nutmeg, you can use nutmeg out of the packet if you like. I just think if you do it fresh, it just has a nicer kind of fresher fragrance. And a little bit of freshly ground pepper. We'll put about a tablespoon of flour in here. This gives it a nice creaminess, the soup. And we'll just let that fry for about a minute to take on the flavours and start to cook. And now we have hot milk. And you slowly pour the hot milk in and keep on stirring so that it doesn't get lumpy. And this is your bechamel sauce. There's no big secret, there's no big problem with it. And just let that cook for a couple of seconds. And it thickens, see? And then we put the soup into that. And just let that. I haven't put any salt into it yet because with spinach you have to wait really, because spinach just disappears into nothing. I just put the peas into this. They don't take as long as the rest of the vegetables. I put about 2 teaspoons or 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Like I said, you can always put salt in afterwards. And when you serve it, put a nice big blob of cream on it. So I think about that's probably enough. So it's boiling and it's ready. It'll just thicken up a little bit and you have this nice creamy, tomatoey spinach soup. So that's one of the simplest recipes that I know with spinach soup. You can use frozen spinach if you don't have fresh. I prefer to use fresh, and now coming into spring you're going to get a lot of nice fresh spinach. So there you go, finished. So our veggies have started to get nice and tender and we can put the rice in now. With basmati rice, and with all rice, you need to wash it about 20 minutes before and then roast it. Always roast it in ghee. It makes it easier to digest and it just gives the rice the time to develop its own flavour. So that was 150 grams of rice. I'm going to put 400 millilitres of hot water and just let it cook. And I have here saffron. It's still in these threads. So I'm just going to get it a little small and then mix it with a little hot water and put that in with the water when I put water into the rice. It's a very good saffron, so you don't need a lot. Saffron is a very healing spice as well. Now, if you were here, you would smell this lovely rice and veggies aroma. It's just lovely. When you've roasted vegetables and rice, always put hot water in, because then you don't, if you put cold water, it just disturbs the whole cooking process. So you always put hot water. So I have some hot water here. I'm going to let that come to the boil and then turn it down and cook it on a very low heat for about 20 minutes. I'll just put the saffron, just dilute it with a little water and mix it in with the rice. I'll just let that boil and put it onto a low heat and get back to you when it's ready. Our rice is finished. It's looking really beautiful, a nice color. And now we're going to mix the cashews. So the thing about this rice is when you want to mix it so that all the vegetables are mixed, don't take a spoon like this because you'll just squash all of the rice. You just take the end of it and just like this. And so that everything's mixed and your rice is ready. Our spinach soup. And a little cream. And the rice, when we're serving the rice, we always take it from one side so that the rest of it stays together and hot. And traditionally in India, when you serve rice, you always put a little ghee on the top. Enjoy. Thank you.